Yeah. So, should we start with you, Max? Where are you from?
I'm from Chesterfield originally, in Derbyshire, which is close to Sheffield. And I came to London when I was 23, which is many years ago. So I've lived in the south for longer than I lived in the north, many years longer. But I've also lived in Brighton. I went to, as a gay man, went to Brighton in the 70s and then came back to London.
And you met Richard for... When did you meet?
25 years ago?
25 years.
Yeah.
Where did you meet?
We met in the LA, in Hackney.
The London
The
Apprentice. It was a dump. But it was such a nice night that night. But it was a very... this was Shoreditch before it became the artistic capital of London. And it was a pub that was... goodness knows how the people managed to keep it going, but they did keep it going. It's very run down.
The building's still there. I think it's still a club.
Is it still a
it's
club?
opposite it's very near Shoreditch Church.
Ah.
I can't think
On
what
the
it's called
corner
now.
before you go into Hoxton Square.
Yeah.
So it's quite a good site, quite a good location. I think the next time we were in, somebody just came in and shot at the bar. It's like somebody came in with a gun and shot at the bar. So that's the sort of context to how rough the pub was. I think there was lots of problems with having, at the time I think they borrowed a lot of money in order to buy the lease, and then there wasn't enough business in the turnover to pay for the rent or pay for the loans or whatever. So it was very... this is the East End, so it was sort of gangster, Hackney gangster style.
There was one of our locals. There were two locals. One was called the Fallen Angel, which was in Islington. It was very she, the first kind of Euro cafe type place. And
But
then
there was a shooting in there, wasn't there?
There was a shooting there as well. Somebody came and shot the goldfish tank quite deliberately. And there was the LA, which I suppose politely you'd call it a singles bar.
But much more Islington, wasn't it? Islington, Hackney borders, the LA, so it had a better class of person going on there.
So did you visit any other haunts?
Heaven would have been... I don't think we went very much, did we? But we would have gone... Did we go to Heaven? Oh, what about...
Traffic.
King's Cross. We used to go to Traffic. And also... oh God, what was the pub down at King's Cross that was at in King's Cross itself? The Bell.
Bell, yeah.
Let's go to the
The
Bell.
I think those were about the four places usually,
Yeah.
isn't it?
What about the other East London?
We didn't go. No, we didn't do any of the sort of tea dance places like the White Swan or anything like that. We did go. I mean, occasionally we'd go to pubs in... There's another pub in Hackney that we used to go to with Martin. Do you remember? Like drag places and stuff like that. But we didn't do the... we weren't on the dance circuit at all until Waltham Forest had the gay games. And what happened was we were organising some horsey stuff, because we got horses, and we didn't have them when we were in Hackney. But when we came here, and this is so close to Epping Forest, and I had ridden as a child in Derbyshire, because I'm not from a wealthy background, but my grandfather's brothers were either in the steel industry or mining, or because we're short, jockeys. So my grandfather's brother went to Canada and became a very famous jockey in Canada. And I was a grammar school boy, but my family wouldn't have nobody could consider that for a working class boy that a grammar school education was actually going to be of any use whatsoever. They couldn't understand it. So as well as doing the education, I was getting a lot of encouragement to get on the horses and do something with the horses. So that sort of happened as a child. And then when I came to London, that all stopped because, of course, you have to travel way out or whatever. So it became impossible to do. But actually, what happened? It was really romantic. We went on a holiday to Turkey, and it was a very cheap holiday. But we managed to. It was like a 5-star hotel, but we got for like £200 for the week, and they had everything. They had.
Well, it was a 2-centre holiday. It was 3 days in Istanbul, and then a week and a half in Antalya. We went to Istanbul,
where we were held up.
We were held up at gunpoint
again
in a sleazy bar
for money. Like taking our credit cards off us.
So
because
we disaster. Anyway, when we went to Antalya, we was just so relieved to be somewhere else. We had a really nice time.
Oh, it's a beautiful hotel, and they had a riding, an arena, and 2 or 3 horses, and I thought, well, I wonder if I can still do this, because I must. Would I have been about 40 by then? I think something like that.
Probably.
And so I went down and I said, I used to ride as a child and I haven't ridden since. So they put me on a horse and let me go around the arena. And this young man said, "Oh, you're fine, let's go." And off we went, and then whoosh, and we were galloping across the Mediterranean beaches and the sand dunes and I said, "How do you stop?" And he said, "I just pull the ear." And we were I thought, it was death-defying because there were trees and we were hurtling towards trees, and I thought, and I haven't ridden for years, but I was sort of having to go down like an acrobatic rider in a circus to go under the trees. But anyway, then of course when we came home, I decided to explore about how I could start again doing this stuff, and we've discovered that Epping Forest was up the road, of course. Well, we knew it was there, but then we discovered all of this horses stuff going on, and I shared someone else's horse for a while, just to make sure that I was going to stay doing it and be responsible. And then I saw this grey horse on the yard, which reminded me of a horse that I knew when we were in Derbyshire. And actually what we discovered was he had the same parentage as the horse that I knew from Derbyshire, because in the breeding lines but I recognised the breed and the just the characteristics of the horse. So we bought him. I think Richard bought him.
I bought him.
You bought him. And then, I don't really like jumping, but he was a show jumper, so I was sort of obligated to really do something that I didn't like doing really, but I started out doing show jumping and started to jump again, and we went up to quite a high level for amateurs because we were competing on the professional circuit against people who go to Wembley and do major competitions, because in Essex there are a lot of people who are earning their living out of horses and training, bringing other people's horses on schooling, taking them around competitions. So every week there'll be 2 or 3 major competitions very, very close by that you can go to. So I started to ride and started to compete, and then I think it was through Eamon, wasn't it,
yeah,
that we heard about the gay games, and so I joined the committee and went along and then suggested that we put on something, because this, where we are in Waltham Forest, it's quite a poor area, but just on the other side of the North Circular Road is all this stuff going on, which is actually in the forest, so it's walkable or rideable, or by bike you could bike there. And so it was just to, do something really to, although it was gay, it was actually, because it was going to be a family event and the general public, everybody could come to the event, it would be an occasion on which they could see, young kids particularly, would be able to see horses and be able to go up and pat them and stroke them and Bond and all of that sort of stuff. That was the sort of inspiration really for it. So we put on a dressage display of 4 horses, which is a quadrille, which is a sort of, it's like dancing to music. It's written, you choreograph a piece. We were very fortunate because one of the people in the group was the groom for Rod Stewart, and Rod Stewart let us borrow his arena. He didn't know it was for a gay event. We just said it was for the local riding club, and he let us go there. He moved his football night because he has a football pitch and he could invite all of these people to come up and play football, and he very kindly moved the football night so that we could practice our gay quadrille.
When was this?
This, where?
It was 19...
When or where?
It was the year 2000, wasn't it?
2000.
For gay sports.
Yeah.
Was that the first time the gay sports happened?
I think it was. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying. I don't think he would have objected anyway. I think Rod Stewart is actually
It was
very
Eamon.
cool.
He got some money. He got some lottery money, I think, to go to do a gay sports event.
It was lottery money, wasn't it? Very early lottery money.
It must have been Eamon who invited you to sort something equestrian out.
Yeah, because I was then working for the council as well, and I did a lot of projects around cultural industries and creative industries. So I worked a lot with Eamon, so that's how we would have. He knows that I'm gay, obviously, so he would have said, "This is what we're thinking of doing."
And Eamon is the arts.
He's the arts.
Yeah. Arts and events.
Yes, arts and events
manager or
whatever. At that point, I don't know what he was 10 years ago, but that's what I mean. He was always involved in arts and leisure. I think it was then. Actually, it was called Arts and Leisure then.
And how many were there? Was this one gay games or?
Yeah, it's been a one-off.
Yeah, but actually, what then happened was. I mean, we would have liked to have done it again. I think it would have been, and one of the other people who with the horses stuff, who did a solo, is a friend of mine called Neil, who organises a lot of competitions for the British Dressage Society. So these are affiliated competitions, and people who are on the Olympic team go to those competitions. It's at that level. And Neil did a demonstration on his horse. So I think he'd be quite useful to speak with, actually. And he must have, maybe we can get the film, because I think we would have done a film of the quadrille. And he certainly then organised another competition where we were competing to appear at the British Horse Show at Wembley. And he decided to do 4 blondes from Essex, but there was a sort of open-ended Hollywood sort of or thespian theme, and he played. Oh goodness, what was her name? Who did Annie Get Your Gun again? Remind me again.
Doris Day.
Doris Day. I think he played Doris Day. One of the very, very pretty Essex girls played Madonna. I think I should have got Madonna. But I didn't get Madonna. I got Bette Lynch from Coronation Street. Probably my northern working class roots, I think. They thought it was probably more suited. I was more suited to that role.
The judges were very polite.
The judges were very polite and concentrated really on how clean the horses were. We had no comments on our dress and the choreography. And Max did. It was amazing because I was in leopard skin because Bette Lynch dressed in leopard skin, and I made a leopard skin scarf for the horse, and we had little sort of tassels in between their ears and things. And my horse was getting fed up with this little feather thing flicking around, and then at some point we were going round, and he stopped and he stood up, he reared up, not very much because he's he's not not a nasty horse, but he did go off the floor. And dressage is supposed to be about rider control,